B is how I'll say Classic looks.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, traditionally, players that come back from military don't look great right away, if they ever do.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's like, what are you doing, guy? You got at least another year before we start talking about you again. But
Fair.
Classic says, ain't nobody got time for that. And here he is in the bottom right, representing Alpha X, by the way.
And in the top left, it is our Red Terran player. He's been around. It is Cure. All right, so no proxy starting this off. No, sneaky attempts at cannon rushing or anything like that. It's very, very standard play all the way around. At least thus far. Probe is going to move out to try to get a scout off. And maybe, I don't know, maybe go for a proxy. What do we think? At least one of those in this series, I'm assuming, from Classic.
From Classic. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Classic just to proxy his starport or his Stargate or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Something maybe a little bit old-fashioned, but still lethal as always.
Yeah, no, I've seen that fairly recently. I've seen a couple of proxy Stargates with really fast oracles, and Terran's not quite ready for it, and still pretty good.
Oh, I fully believe it, particularly in the hands of Classic, who has got some pretty darn good micro with that oracle.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the better oracle players we've seen. But so far, pretty standard stuff. Cybercore, Reaper in production here. Probe does see, oh, look, a natural base. That's good information to have. Not a crazy one-base play out of Cure, which we don't see a lot of, but, it's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how Classic approaches this matchup and vice versa. Cure, as I really love myself some TvP. I like playing Protoss and I like playing Terran. It's probably one of my favorite matchups both ways. So this is just great.
I know a lot of Terrans hate playing against Protoss, so...
I mean, I hate it, but it's that sort of... I do hate it, but I love it. It's one of those challenge things, It's like one day I'll get it. Sort of like a dog chasing his tail.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Just the sense that maybe you can accomplish the impossible one day. It's a good feeling.
Yes.
Is he oversaturating that assimilator? He was for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Classic. Such a scamp. So, I don't know where the Reaper's coming back in. Did he not get a check on that Stargate the first time around? Maybe he didn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he saw it the first time around. He definitely knows now.
Yeah.
And this is a very Cure-esque thing to do. I was already seeing him play 3 racks. He probably is one of the Terrans that plays 3 racks the most, I'd say.
I think, yeah, you're probably right about that. And pretty good against Stargate openers. You got a lot of Marines out. You can definitely have a ton of anti-air to deal with this Oracle. Make it ineffective in general. And then from there, Marines pretty good in the early game. They trade really well against Stalkers, against Immortals. Not that good against Adepts, but not terrible either.
Yeah, it's rare that Protoss has a ton of Adepts in TvP these days. So.
Yeah, after the dark days of early Legacy of the Void, where every PvT was Phoenix Adept all the way.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That was one of the times that Blizzard was like, emergency patch, we gotta fix this, because this entire matchup is just the same thing every time.
Yes. I do miss the Phoenix a little bit. I'm always happy to see that, but yeah, the Adepts, I'm kind of find that being a thing of the past.
Yeah, absolutely. They still have their place. Like, look, we have Adepts. They're coming in to scout. Okay, so here's the Oracle sniping an SCV. Marines are not in position to deal with this in the... Oh, never mind. He's got a bunch of Marines. Never mind. We're good.
Yeah.
Jeez, how many are there? We got 15 Marines already. Okay, that's one way to handle Oracle harassment, is have 15 Marines when the Oracle shows up.
Yeah, 3 racks gets you there really quick. Now we see Cure tossing up 2 turrets to have that passive defense of his mineral lines. That means he's going to be free to move out with these units. Notably, he hasn't even invested in a factory yet, so as that just goes down now, it's going to be a long way away before Cure reaches any sort of follow-up to this push that he's going for, but he's coming.
Does this feel like an SCV pull? We're going to see some SCVs here in a second?
I don't think so.
Probably too late for that now. Yeah.
I think this is just Cure testing Classic Most Protoss can defend these attacks these days, but every now and then they'll bungle it, and then the Terran will just win the game. And Kier's actually committing on in now, gonna go for the sentry, but in comes the 3 oracles. Can Kier pick off some of the oracles? He gets
Got one. Shield battery really important there, and the fact that there's not medevacs means you can stim maybe once or twice, and then that's about it.
Yeah, most of these Marines already dying. We'll see if Kier's gonna stim aggressively. He's got reinforcements coming on in, so it looks like he will. Classic backs up, but then he holds his ground, losing Stalkers, trading out against his bio. The Oracles have all fallen now as Kier picks off that last one. And this was not a terrible trade either way, I'd say, but getting those 3 oracles really is nice for Kier. Say goodbye to any map vision that Classic would use those to rely on.
It is 2,100 resources lost for Classic and 1,500 here for Kier.
Okay.
So pretty close, yeah, I agree with that. The oracles are really important to defending against those Marines. They did end up dying, but they served their purpose. The Marines didn't get the base. They didn't kill too much stuff overall, although Kier is able to get a 3rd base down behind it. Classic's 3rd is already up and running, and it is a 61 to 53 worker advantage for Classic right now.
Yeah, Classic keeping his economy going during all this. He's now got 5 gateways on the way too, so with 3 fully saturated bases, 5 gates for 5 additional gates going up, he's going to be in quite a comfortable position as a Protoss, it would seem.
Yeah, I don't see what he can complain about right now. He doesn't have a huge army, but he does have shield batteries to defend with. And he's working on upgrades, getting Blink. Robotics Bay just started to get warped in here too. And Widow Mines, a little bit, not a Widow Mine opening here from Kier, but Widow Mines coming in at about the 7-minute mark. Not necessarily for Widow Mine drops, but I assume just to deal with Zealots and help to suck up some of those guys. But there is 1 Zealot on the ground right now for Classic, so interesting. They still one-shot Stalkers, but not as good in that situation as they are against just mass Zealots.
Yeah, Stalkers being able to dodge Widow Mines is the big thing. And yeah, I really don't see a fight happening in the next minute of this game or so. Kier's trying to poke and prod a little bit, but his army supply isn't even that big. His production's really just ramping up now. All the while Classic is still at that stage of the game, which Stalkers and Sentries are an ample defense against the bio. As Kier's bio count's going to grow, Classic is going to need to rely more on, say, those charge lots he's just warping in. Hopefully something else coming his way soon. He's going to try and use good positioning here to defend this drop from Kier. Classic seems to have sussed this out a little bit. 4 Stalkers in the main base. Can he pick off one of the medivacs before they unload? Not looking like it. All these units are getting out in the main base.
Oh, goodness. Stalkers not good against Marine Marauder at all. The Widow Mines aren't even burrowing. They're just kind of hanging out with the rest of the army. Probably a burrow situation as they're getting sniped down here. Just, you know, see what you can get.
The Nexus is a bold play by Kier.
He gets it. Wow. He tries to kill as many Stalkers as he can. He's not getting out of here. There's way too many Stalkers. The medevacs are all dead. These guys are still alive. Holy smokes, these Marauders and Marines, they stayed alive a lot longer than I expected. And another attack from Kier coming in. Shield battery overcharge is not helping as much. Oh, that pylon's going to depower it anyway. A single Colossus and a couple Stalkers. Armory value is 66 to 45 right now, and Classic is in trouble.
Force Field's trying to save the Colossus. Just barely it gets picked off. Kier's going to be mighty happy with that. And based off the amount of Stalkers that Classic lost in his main base, it's looking real rough for the Protoss. He's got nothing to trade efficiently against this Terran army. And in terms of raw numbers, Kier is just smashing his opponent here.
I think that might be it. 72 to 21 army supply. 3rd base has nothing to defend it. The main base is gone. It's coming back, but it's not here for now. And anytime a Terran player is just continuing to stem forward, you know, they're feeling pretty powerful. And that's it, man. I know Classic is still in this game, but at 70 to 14 army supply, it's just not going to happen for him. Kier's got the game 1 victory. Nicely done.
Beautiful play there by Kier. Confident with his 3 racks, as always.
Insanely good. The performance of the Marines and Marauders in the main base was way better than I expected. I thought it would be a close call whether he ended up getting the Nexus or not. But no, he kills the Nexus, and then he stands there for another 30 seconds killing Stalkers, killing Zealots. I mean, that is just demoralizing as all get out for Classic. You think you've got it taken care of, you lose your Nexus, and then you keep losing more stuff. Absolutely brutal. So yeah, Cure looking good. A little bit, maybe more emphasis on splash damage for Game 2 from Classic would be my recommendation.
Yeah, maybe that does just harp back a little bit to, say, the trade against the initial push did put Classic at a bit of a disadvantage. Losing all 3 of his oracles prevented him from having any map control kind of thing. And then, yeah, Cure was just able to ply on the aggression there. So, yeah, that was a great game, I will say. A lot going on there. And yeah, just Cure got his cake there and ate it too with getting the Nexus, and then butchered probably, oh, I don't know, that was probably like at least 5 stalkers in the main he killed.
Yeah, that was insane. So Cure, a bit of a surprise victory there in Game 1, but you know what? It's a 5-game series. It is not even close to over yet. Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, this guy's going to have to pull it together. In the top left, it's Classic.
And in the bottom right, up 1-0, it is Cure. Poof. All right, well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be, you got to get those 3 Colossus out, maybe a couple Disruptors, get Storm researching, but we didn't really see anything other than the 1 Colossus that wasn't super effective. And that's just not going to cut it here against a super aggressive barracks play from the Terran. Gotta have something along those lines.
Yeah, with Classic, I guess losing all those units in the trade, cleaning up the 3 racks, it seemed that basically he just did not have the means to buy enough time to get to that tech. Like, Cure was just there on him. And I don't know how Classic would have been expected to have up some AoE already. I guess maybe he just needed to reposition his stalkers in that last game, maybe have more in the main base to shut down that big drop. All in all, though, great game. I'm excited to see if Cure's going to bring out more of that 3 racks play.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay. Cybercore on the way now for Classic. So he's actually going for... Well, he's already got his Nexus on the way, so... Yeah, Nexus, then Cybercore. So, regular build here. Here, on the other hand, going to be going for a Reaperless build. Not feeling the need to go for that Reaper Scout.
Yeah, I mean, it's a scout thing, right? You don't really kill anything with the Reaper. It's a little disappointing for Terran, but...
There it is.
Yeah, surprise? No, not a surprise. But you know, until your opponent proves they can stop it, there's really not a reason to stop doing it.
Uh-huh. I gotta learn how to do this.
Yes. Doesn't seem that complicated.
No, it really doesn't. Except when I do it, I get there like a minute later or something, and then the Protoss has all sorts of stuff, and it's like, oh, this did not work out.
They storm the ramp and force field their units in, and then disruptors come in and explode everything.
Yeah, and then there's the disruptors, and then there's the Psystorm on top of it, and then somehow they get back the Wings of Liberty mothership and throw down one of those vortexes, and it's just a straight up disaster.
Man, I hate it when that happens. Yep, Stim getting started. Adept's like, let me in the main, I want to scout. But no. No good Terran player will let the Adept inside their main.
Yep, keep the Adepts out of our base. Okay, so Phoenix first for Classic, and he must have read my mind, as I was saying at the start of that last game. I do like the Phoenixes.
Fine.
We'll see how well that's going to work for him. I mean, it's a 3 racks play, so I don't know the exact response for Protoss to do against a 3 racks play, because Phoenix are not traditionally good against it. So I'm curious as to what Classic should do here. Just go up to 3 Phoenix maybe, then focus all on the transition? perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
Whatever
fourth
he's
Phoenix, which I think is quite an important cut for the Protoss here, because if you commit to that fourth Phoenix, that is a lot of resources. So going for the 3 is kind of the middle ground, because you still have the amount of Phoenix that can pick up units, kill them off, thin out the Terran's numbers a little bit. But
kill SCVs if you need to.
Exactly, but it's less of a commitment, and right now Classic is just focused 100% on the hold, getting out an extra pylon, no extra battery. It's going to be on the 1 Immortal, warping in some more Stalkers here, and he actually did commit to a 4th Phoenix here. I find that interesting. We'll see.
Do not agree with this Immortal. Immortals are so bad versus Marines, like really bad.
I mean, they're kind of like a sponge, though, that they can suck up all the battery energy.
So they just tank. That's fair.
But yeah, as far as killing Marines, no good. Then for the Protoss, it's like, well, what else are you supposed to make in the meantime, too?
That's a good point. If you're waiting on the Robo Bay, then I guess an Immortal's fine. We're making Colossus now, extended Thermal Lancer on the way here, too.
In go the Phoenix. This is good for Classic.
Oh, man, that's, what, 3 buildings paused construction?
Yeah, it's quite great. Every second that this building is delayed is huge for the Terran player, or for the Protoss. Look at that, even getting seconds, picking up another one of those SCVs. Looks like he is out of energy, so he's going to have to back on out of there. And he's also got to be careful here, but with just Marines against his 1 Colossus, he should be just fine. I mean, Kira's going to commit, but that is bold to commit into a Colossus with any number of Marines.
Maybe if you had 200. 200 Marines can do it.
I don't know, man. The Colossus just kites a little longer, and it's all good. You really gotta give it to Kira. Out of bold moves, I'll take trying to take on a Colossus with Marines.
With no medevac support, no nothing. Yeah, it's pretty scary. Naked Marines. Oh, getting more of them here, too. Kira's just kind of being harassed to death. It's kind of nice, honestly. Oh, high ground Colossus. Come get me.
Oh, sentries and stalkers getting picked off.
Ooh,
that's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, force fields couldn't quite keep the Marines away from the sentries. That's hard to do. These Marines aren't going to win the game, and in fact, they're probably all dead. But they are providing enough of a threat to keep Classic back here for now.
This is actually going to be a 2-base all-in from Classic, by the way. He's up to 7 gates, 2 bases against Kier, who just committed to a drop, a double drop, by the way. I don't know if Kier can spare this supply. Defending, he knows this is coming as he's double bunkering, but still, having these units out in the drop is such a ballsy play. The Phoenix can also lift up the tank in the middle of this. The Colossus are shredding SCVs. I don't know if Kier was able to spare that drop he sent out. He's trying to hold on right now. 15 SCVs go down so far. The bunkers not reached completion in time, and it looks like we might just be having Classic tying the series up. I don't know if this drop is going to be able to make up for what's in Kier's natural right now.
Oh, no, and especially because recall exists. So, that's the thing. Maybe don't try to attack with all... What is that? Why? Okay.
The probe's buffered. Classic just sees it that if he cleans this drop up at home, he pretty much wins the game. Great micro on the Colossus, avoiding the few Viking shots that there are. This is looking a little bit closer than it should do, as Classic is down on supply. Kier's really locked into his natural with a tank, and the drop in the main is still doing work. Battery overcharge, though, nickel and diming this drop. If Classic can eventually clean this up, he should be in quite a good spot.
It's taken a while. He still has a Phoenix, too. So even if Kier ends up lifting his buildings and running, the Phoenix can kill those. So that might be an interesting thing that we end up seeing here. Yeah, this drop is just not dying.
It's a little more hairy than I thought it would be for Classic, I'll say that.
Stalkers are just so bad against Stim Marines and Marauders.
Yeah, he doesn't have Blink, that's the thing, and all of his gateways were unpowered except one. Okay,
and
there's a recall.
Okay, so, only, hang on, is that, I mean, it's enough. There we go. So it gets him out of there. So it's 22 to 12 workers. Classic has an advantage. If he hadn't sacrificed about 12 probes to the Marine and Marauder ball, he'd be better off. But
I agree. I
don't think that even bought him anything. That was such a weird
mean,
call.
he maybe killed off an extra Marine or something with the blocking the probes did there, but yeah, those were that was +1 bio. Those probes just disappeared.
Not worth.
And yeah, what a hairy game we've got ourselves into. Classic's going for a disruptor. I love that. Kier's pushing out on the map. He hasn't even re-landed his natural because it was actually killed off. So that's probably why Classic felt comfortable retreating on home. Taking this fight in the middle of the map is bold. Disruptor fires its Nova. Does only really connect with one Marauder. The 2 Colossus are still alive. The Prism doing a lot of work here. It's going to be close, and that's all Classic really needs, it would seem. Tank's getting big shots off.
Viking gets sniped off here. Marauders taking a while to kill as per usual. But tank down. 2 zealots on top of your tank. No, actually, getting out of there. Pick it up. Pick it up. Save him.
Already full.
No room. Aw.
Poor zealot, but Classic's just fine here, it would seem. A Terran can't really push out one of the Hail Mary. He scans, but he doesn't have a Marine. There too show up.
There we go. That's what you want.
Terran really can't push out those Hail Mary pushes off 1 base. 2 base, it's doable, but Classic on 2 bases should be fine to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, Kier's not even rebuilding his SEV count. He's just making units in an attempt to try to kill Classic before the economic advantage overwhelms him. So, I mean, army supply fairly similar here, but Classic's at 30 to 12 total workers. Mules are good. They're not that good.
Yeah.
And Kier just kind of needs to go. Like, I know he's waiting for reinforcements, but this window's closing.
It really is. He's making 3 Marauders at a time, which is quite impressive based off the fact that he's only got 12 SCVs. So, mules are a hell of a drug.
Well, he's only got, 4 mineral patches now. Good grief. Kier needs to psych himself out before this attack.
He's like, you can do it. Classic's actually out on the map right now.
You're
right.
I
don't agree with this. Because this is quite a bit of Terran bio.
Game resumed.
And Kier's actually going for a drop, and Classic is completely out of position. It's also notable that the Terran does have 1/1 upgrades here. That could be a big factor, as the fights will look a lot better than you'd think for Kier. And if Classic makes a bad recall, he's even committing to a 3rd, so he's really walking the line. Still, though, he's in quite a decent spot. There's the recall right on top of this Terran army. We'll see how much this +1's able to do. One of the Colossus goes down. This is basically the game-ending fight with Zealots warping on in, though it looks like Classic will hold this off. It's close. But still.
Yeah, that's a cleanup right there. Marauders functionally immortal. But not that
armor
immortal.
of Marauders against with Medivac healing is pretty good.
Look at that
And
Colossus
I mean, there
trying
is an
to kill
attack
it.
at the natural. By God, Kier's given it. I mean, he forced a cancel on the 3rd. He killed off a good number of his opponent's workers. He's going to commit on in trying to get that Colossus, but is unable to.
I mean, Kier's got a 37 army supply advantage to 15 for Classic.
Is it just me, or is this game way closer than you thought it would be?
It is. Kier's getting a lot more done with his units than I expected.
There's no battery here either for the Protoss player. He's got nothing that really puts out any damage on these Marauders. The one Colossus doesn't actually deal that much damage. Kier takes it.
What?
By God, he takes it.
Unexpected outcome based on how... I mean, Kier lost his entire natural base. Wow. Marauders, man. That's what it was. It was the Marauders. They were so good against the Stalkers, the Sentries, the Colossus.
Yeah. I think it really was the upgrades there that won it for Kier.
Oh, that's a big part of it, too. Definitely. Upgrades, big. Marauders with Medivacs healing, big. Colossus kind of bad against that. Obviously, it's been that way since Wings of Liberty. And then just that patience, every unit he had mattered. The fact that he waited for some reinforcements to come in before he went for it. He didn't panic. He was very patient. He picked his spot, and by golly, it worked out. What an absolutely impressive display.
Yeah, I will say that is a bit of a misplay there by Classic, as he was out on the map and he had to recall, so he took a bad fight there. He probably shouldn't have been out on the map at all.
No.
He just needed to confirm there wasn't a Terran natural or anything like that.
Yeah, no reason to send your whole army for that.
Then he would have just sat at home, and then he would have been in a much better defensive position with a battery with Colossus. So, bit of a misplay by Classic, I will say. I mean, I did like his initial choice to attack in, but then the follow-up wasn't that clean.
No.
So, let's see if he can pull the reverse. The reverse one on Cure. It's Classic.
And down here on Oxide, it's Cure.
Yeah, Marauder King in chat saying him even taking the third Nexus there when the Terran's on 1 CC. That's a little too bold.
Well, Cure's 2-0, going for the 3 racks opening. I mean, it's not like he won directly because he went 3 racks in game 2, but I don't know, still no reason to really change it up, right?
I don't think so. I mean, if you practice a build 1,000 times, even if it's not the most optimal build, but then you get so good at following it up, even if it doesn't work outright,
you can win a lot of games with that, yeah.
you definitely can.
And even against somebody as good as Classic is. Mm-hmm. Looks like a pylon tossed down. You're going to throw it on a pylon? This is an extra annoying probe, which is why I bring it up, but no. Doesn't have the minerals, doesn't have the plan to do so. Well, let's see what this next building is after the command center. Cure, what do you got for us?
It's going to be a barracks, isn't it?
Yeah, I see it. I feel it in my bones. And by that I mean I don't feel anything. Maybe it is a factory. He's working on the gas.
Give it a second.
It is a fact.
It is, you're right. Wait, it's a proxy fact.
It sure is. Saw that SCV move out.
I like it.
Yeah. Expect the unexpected when you face off against Cure. 3 racks a couple games in a row, lull you into a false sense of security.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right now, Classic's thinking of how to deal with a boatload of Marines and Marauders. All the while there's a factory outside his base.
So here's the plan. You lift the factory, you land it inside Classic's base, you build Widow Mines. That's an appropriate Bronze League strategy. I say we do.
Well, I mean, building Hellions is a legitimate strat that Terrans do. Okay, and it is going to be Hellions with a starport on the high ground to get him into Classic space.
Yeah, some Medevac Hellion drop. Pretty strong stuff. Always frustrating when suddenly there's 4 Hellions killing your stuff in your main.
Very much so.
Everyone's used to defending your front against Hellions, but when they're just, oh, surprise, they magically appeared inside your main base, it's a bad time.
Yeah, and I don't know how you scout this as Classic, other than having a unit around the map. The Adept is taking the long way home, kind of. Hallucinated Phoenix is out. Probe's looking to take a third base, it would seem. But yeah, no scouting towards his right side. And Classic, yeah, probably just assuming that it's going to be a 3 racks play.
You know what they say about assuming. Alright, more Hellions in production. Marines coming out too. We've got that medevac we were talking about 60% complete. What's the main base look like for Classic? Does he have a shield battery? He doesn't have anything in there?
He does have a sentry and 3 stalkers, so a good unit spread. Nothing at his natural to defend at all. But
I don't
just
think
in
Cure's
his main.
going to head there, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. Just completely shuts that down. Classic, you wizard.
We're like, oh, he's totally unprepared, but turns out he just had his units in the right spot. Massive vulnerability was at his natural, but that didn't matter. No force field goes down from the sentry.
He's not even really splitting or running his probes here.
7, 9, 10. Oh, so still quite a bit of damage gets done. And a
Yeah,
Widowmine
definitely.
follow-up to boot.
Yeah, keep the medevac alive was a big deal. Now we can come back in with some Widow Mines.
Oh!
But no, we can't at all, actually. Wow. Almost dead. Who's in the main base?
Does
Oh,
Kier unload
warping
the
in some
mines?
stalkers.
Okay, he was going for
Run.
the walk play.
Run.
Gonna burrow, blink's done.
Run. Ah, didn't have drilling plus.
Factory is gonna go down. That was a great follow-up by Classic.
Yeah, he sniffed that out big time, completely shut it down. And Kier got some damage done. He killed some probes, but it's still, 41 to 38 workers. Classic's not that far behind. Mules are definitely a problem if you're even worker count versus a Terran, but it could be a lot worse here. He's making an observer to deal with future Widow Mines, and he's pushing in here with these stalkers, trying to see what he can get done with it. Put some pressure on Kier so the third base can come up in peace. You can keep Kier on the back foot here, then the third base is going to be a lot happier.
Yeah, the third base already being done is a big factor for Classic too. So he's got that going for him. He does have the Adept in the main base. He's not going to blink up, seeing all those Marines there. He might. Blinks up one Stalker so he can keep the high ground vision. Trading from the low to the high ground. I actually love this play by Classic. Not committing, but keeping the option to trade alive. And with no stim done yet for Kier, it's looking a little rough for him. Blinks out the injured Stalker even. Great play there by the Protoss.
Yeah, so good.
7 dead
Blink
Marines.
Stalkers, in the hands of a master, Blink Stalkers can look incredibly overpowered.
Yeah, now I will say Kier did lose 7 Marines there, but he's going to have the means to replace quite a few of them, as he's already 5 racks, 2 bases, so it's just going to be units, units, units for the Terran player.
I mean, that's one way to play. I support it. It's units, units, units. Let's just go. Stenothermal Lance is about 15% complete. Charge is about 50% complete. So not going to have either of those for this incoming attack here. Stim is finishing at the same time, +1 is for the infantry. Concussive Shells is also further than halfway complete here. Combat Shields coming in. This is a beautiful timing tack out of Kier. These upgrades are finishing right on time. And he doesn't want to engage with the Stalkers. Interesting.
Yeah, there is a Colossus that just joined up.
I don't think he saw that, though. Did he know that was there?
I think we're 7 minutes into the game, so
Yeah, fair.
maybe Kier just sensing it, sensing the battery, thinking there had to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
And he didn't have Combat Shield yet, so maybe that's why for his hesitancy, but he sure is going to commit on in now. Widowmine's just running up to the front of the Protoss's face. They will get shots off on some Zealots, but not being too significant in the fight there. The battery overcharge goes down. The Colossus does get targeted down. One down. Does the second fall? Yes, it does.
2 Colossus down here, kiting to deal with the Zealots. Reinforcements have arrived. High ground. I don't know if you want to come up here. He certainly does. The Zealots want to chase up the high ground. They've got the charge. It's done. +1 ground weapons finishing up right now for the gateway units for the Protoss as well, but reinforcements continuing to cruise on in here. There's only Stalkers left. He's got to blink out of there, and now Kier's on the offensive again.
Yeah, Classic really went for blood there upon losing his 2 Colossus. He thought, right, I gotta push the Terran away right now. And he did buy himself a little bit of time, but all he's doing right now is warping in more Zealots. He's chrono boosting out an extra Colossus, a replacement Colossus, but it's not going to be smooth sailing for a little bit for Classic, as Kier's still just pumping out units on those 5 racks. Ooh. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, indeed. 78 army supply here for Kier. He is loading up for something.
My God, the mad lad.
That is probably not a going home caravan. They have murder on their minds coming into the main base. He is worried about getting countered again, but Classic's not in position to handle it.
His spidey senses were tingling a little bit, but not enough to completely save him here. The Templar Archive is going to be the first target by the Protoss, and Classic's base really seems to be working against him a little bit in this series. As 12 probes go down to a Widow Mine. There's no Zealots left in the main base. He's having to warp in more, but Kier, with his insane macro, has got a second jab coming towards the natural, and as the Protoss loses in his main, he's got nothing to defend his natural. I think we're going to see a Kier 3-0 here.
Kier, you mad lad, defying all expectations today. Making Classic look rusty and